Home but Not Alone, a family connection series brought to you by the Child Welfare Training Partnership. Don't Obsess About the Mess, designed and presented by Sharon O'Neill, training specialist with the Vermont Child Welfare Training Partnership. This training was originally offered on May 6, 2020. Making art is enjoyable for most people of all ages. For children with a trauma history, it's also an opportunity for healing through skill building, expression of feelings, and creativity. If making art with someone else, it's also an opportunity for building relationships, a primary foundational block for healing trauma. Before we move forward with the business of mess making, let's watch this short video about the healthy benefits of making art. Welcome to Home But Not Alone, a family connection series brought to you weekly by the Vermont Child Welfare Training Partnership. Don't Obsess About the Mess, presented by Sharon O'Neill, training specialist. Art is important for all children. Let's talk about why. Art helps to develop gross and fine motor skills, develops language skills as a child talks with you about what they made, brings joy and happiness, helps to express emotions, builds creativity skills and expression, builds confidence and competence as you grow your talent, helps to relieve stress, and when you do it together, you are building relationship. Relationship is the foundation of healing. I'm a great caregiver. So why do I avoid making art with the kids that I care for? That's okay. It really is. Let's figure it out together. I'm so glad that you joined me. Here is what some Vermont caregivers had to say about why they attended this workshop. Art is not my thing. I'm not good at it, but my grandson is good at it. I hate messes, so I avoid doing projects with the kids. I want to pass on information to other foster parents. The kids bring home artwork. I don't like the mess. I'm absorbing all the training I can because I'm a mentor. I want to be in control of the process, which isn't fun for everyone. My foster kids are artsy and crafty, and it gives me anxiety. I'd like to find art ideas for my foster children and 8 grandkids. Here are some things to keep in mind. Art and creating is therapeutic, and it's not your role to be a therapist. Just be present. Creating alongside each other says, I'm here with you. Remember, relationship building is the most important thing for kids who have a trauma history. The process is so much more important than the product. What that means is it doesn't really matter what the end art piece looks like. It's the time that was spent learning and spending time with each other and creating and experimenting and exploring. All of that is so much more important than what the end art project looks like. Issues related to trauma and abuse may come up in the creative process. Again, be present and don't investigate. If something comes up about a child's history of abuse, again, just be present, don't investigate. Leave that to the professionals. It's important to know your limits, know what you can be flexible on and what you cannot tolerate. Knowing your own limits is so important when considering art projects with kids. If you know that there are some art supplies or media that you absolutely are uncomfortable with, that's good to know. Knowing this will lessen your worries and increase the likelihood of a successful art session. Here are some typical responses that adults give about supplies that they like to avoid. As you can see, glitter is the number one button pusher. Here's some ideas for containing messes. First, protective clothing. Old t-shirts and button-down shirts are simple and readily at hand, and they make great smocks for young children and even older artists. For younger children, consider buttoning the shirt up the back. Aprons are also a really nice option. Some sort of table covering will also help you contain the mess and help make cleanup a lot easier. With my own kids and in workshops that I facilitate, I like to use plastic flannel-backed table covering. You can also use newsprint, butcher paper, or paper bags. Another helpful tip is to do art projects outside. Makes cleanup quick and easy and provides a great environment for creative exploration. So now that you're more in touch with your limits and where you can be flexible, let's talk about art supplies. The kinds of art supplies you choose to offer with the kids you are creating with will be important to keep in mind. Some materials offer more control, while others can evoke strong feelings, expression, and sometimes regression. You know the children or youth that you'll be creating with. If you have one or two who have a hard time with boundaries, or they have a tendency to regress regularly, you may want to start out with projects and supplies that offer more control. When my kids were growing up, I had a large cabinet that had a lot of shelves. We kept art supplies and games in it. Our guideline was, if you can reach it, you can use it on your own. If you can't reach it, you need an adult to work with you. You can also use a plastic bin or tote to house materials that need adult supervision. Having materials that they can use on their own allows them to build independence, confidence, and competence. Art materials should be considered with the developmental age and their expressive nature. That said, as we know, developmental age for kids with a trauma history can be very fluid. So when you're looking at scissors, always use safety scissors. Even with older kids, it's just good to have safety scissors. And you may also need to keep the scissors closer to you until you know that a child can be independent and competent with scissors. Glue. Choose non-toxic and washable glues. There's also glue sticks, which are a really great option because you have such control. You have as much control with a glue stick as you do with a marker or a pencil. And also putting glue in a little paper cup and using a paintbrush with it can also be a good option because sometimes kids, when they have the squeeze bottles, they really like to squeeze the glue out. Markers. Select washable varieties. There's all different kinds of markers that are out now. There's thick markers, thin markers, there's glow-in-the-dark markers. I recently, during this COVID time, found markers that you can write on glass with. And so my grandson sits on one side of the window, I sit on the other, and we draw and doodle or play tic-tac-toe with each other, and that's a lot of fun. Crayons, colored pencils, those offer a lot of control and cleanness. If it's a kid who can regress when using art supplies or regress in their play, using some art supplies that offer more control can be a good place to start, as we've already mentioned. Paint. There's also so many different kinds of paint to choose from, and that's really exciting. You can also put glitter in paint. It's a great way to get the sparkly effect that kids love and get the cleanliness that adults prefer. China markers. China markers are those, they're like pencils and they have a string down the side, and you pull down the string and unwrap more of the colored, I was going to say lead, but it's not lead, the colored piece that's inside. And those are great. They write really smoothly. They are great on all different kinds of papers and even on textured papers. They work well. Collage materials are some of my favorite materials. I have recycled wrapping paper, tissue paper, old calendars, postcards, greeting cards, sequins, ribbon, maps, really anything goes, magazines, anything goes with collage materials too. And then you're going to want to have maybe some paints that go with that, or some glue, and of course, scissors. Canvases, cardboard, mat board, styrofoam trays are all great bases for creating art. Glitter. Yes, glitter. I know that some people feel like glitter is really just too much for them to handle. I said you could put glitter in paint. You can also put glitter in glue and mix it up, and then they can apply it with a paintbrush. I always preferred that with my kids because the glitter glue that comes again in the squeezy tube, they use so much of it that it takes forever to dry, where when you put the glitter directly into the glue and spread it out with a paintbrush, it dries a lot quicker. There are also some fun gadgets that you can use for doing artwork. Here are 3 of my favorite. Salad spinner art. That's where you cut the paper to fit in the bottom of the salad spinner, and then you put paint on it, put the lid on, pull that string, and it's like magic when you open it up, and it makes like a great spiral or tie-dye patterns. And you can use as much or as little paint as you want. You can use different colors, and it just keeps all of it contained inside. I also really like toothbrush art. Toothbrush art is fun because you can put down patterns on the paper and then, put paint on the toothbrush and kind of splatter it. And it makes a great splattering design. But also kids can just use the toothbrush to make a nice textured design using the paint. And then another one, shaving cream paint, is a really great, young artists love this. It's a great sensory experience. You just put some washable color in with the shaving cream and let the kids explore with their hands. So the final thing that I'm going to talk about today are resources for supplies. My favorites are Joann and Michaels. There's usually a Joann's and a Michaels nearby everyone, it seems, and you can get art supplies, canvases, pads that have different colorful prints on them, always have sales, and they always have coupons. There's no reason to ever go to Joann's and Michael's and pay full price for anything because they always have coupons that are available, and you can, I pull them up on my phone and they just scan the barcode right at the register. Target is also another great place to get art supplies, tablecloths, and the salad spinner. Recycled supplies are really great. When I go to parties, when I go to baby showers, or I should say when I used to go to baby showers or birthday parties, I rifle through the wrapping paper and the tissue paper. I bring that home. Buttons, sequins, really recycled supplies are easy to find, easily accessible. Also, Goodwill, Salvation Army often has art supplies also. Locally printed newspaper. Most small local news agents have end rolls of unprinted newsprint, and I love that. I always have a roll on hand. It's either free or it's a small fee, and you have a roll of newsprint. I roll it out on tables. It's great for murals. It's great for paper mache. It's great for just protecting surfaces when you're doing artwork. Also, 2 other mail order companies are Oriental Trading Company and Dick Blick. Thanks for joining me today. I hope this mini training has helped you to consider doing more artwork with the kids that you're taking care of. It's so good for them to explore and create. It's good for you to explore and create. I hope the tips that you learned today will help you feel more comfortable in accepting the mess that comes along with doing artwork, because it's really worth it.